everyone, this is Val and welcome to the third episode of ZEPETOR class. Today we're going to be learning how to do a fancy little thing called tweening. You might be wondering why I'm showing you Genshin Impact characters. I don't even play Genshin, but I wanted to show you how tweening looks, and Genshin has plenty of examples. Take a closer look at how their clothes, hair, and hands are looped moving. That's called tweening. The full name is in-betweening, which is an animation technique that creates motion in between keyframes. You see this a lot in online game posters or characters, and even I do this in my edits every so often, but please note that tweening or doing this animation technique does take some extra time, so here are some examples. Since we've already looked at keyframes in week 1, these should not be too much of an issue, but how do we manipulate keyframes to create tweening on VideoStar though? Hopefully you've gotten in the habit of downloading segments of your edit with transparent backgrounds to put them on layers on VideoStar. Because now you're going to be doing this but with tweening. Just like the week 2 video I made, there are different ways you can separate your VideoStar layers, like using the mask tool. But if you want cleaner lines, you should separate your layers on IBIS Paint beforehand like I've done here. Sometimes I'm too lazy and I just select it on VideoStar using the brushes and add mask, but it definitely doesn't look as good if you had separated your layers beforehand. Okay, so excuse my bird in the background, but you can kind of see what I'm doing here with the hands. I'm selecting and making sure that I'm segmenting the hands properly from the elbow to the hand itself, and I'm separating it from both the arms, elbow to the shoulder, where I need to make sure that that is completely a different layer on VideoStar. As I've said before, you do need a good deal of foresight, and this is definitely foresight in action. I'm just preemptively selecting my layers, and also just making sure that everything lines up too. That's a very important thing, because in video form, they do need to line up in order to animate properly. Anyways, let's try moving this layer's keyframes. The most important thing you should pay attention to for tweening is that white dot, which indicates the pivot or how the thing moves. It's like the center of a circle, but you usually shouldn't have to worry about how that works, just that it's very helpful for your placement of the layer's path that you want to move. I'm moving bubbles in the background by zooming in and out and changing the placement, then looping the action. As I try to move the bubbles, I want to show that it's getting from point A, the starting position or first keyframe, to point B, the second keyframe. But I also want to move it back to point A seamlessly in an identical continuous loop. The first 2 keyframes should be easy enough to establish, as we have learned this in the first lesson. But to move back to point A, the third keyframe's white dot must be repositioned precisely on top of the starting position's white dot. For the 4th keyframe, you should position the white dot on top of point B's, or the second keyframe. Then, for the remainder of the video, I repeat the process. I'll make more keyframes of this slowly, so just follow along if the explanation was not clear enough. Be sure that the straight path box is ticked for all keyframes. To check, press Path. You can also set the default to straight paths on the top right-hand or left-hand corner of your screen. Also, pay attention to the bottom right on the screen that you can see. You can see how the numbers are kind of switching between 0.001, 0.003, etc., and 0. I like to alternate between sides to indicate tweening because there is consistency in it. You need to make sure that the numbers are around the same, if not exactly the same, and you can definitely ensure that they are the same by scrubbing that little bar with lines, the gray bar with lines on the bottom right corner of your screen. This is exactly what I do. I don't think VideoStar is showing it on my screen recording, but you can definitely see that I am using it and looking at it because I need to make sure that the numbers are the same to make the thing look smooth. So for my 5th and final keyframe, you can see that I'm positioning on the same position as my very first one, or point A, just because odd numbers, they alternate, right? So you can kind of see that happening here, and I'm just positioning it on top. All you have to do is just move the object, and it'll work out the rest. And you can see this little tiny moving small white dot connecting between the bigger ones. That just shows the path, and I really like that illustration on VideoStar because it's very useful. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to add my arms on the third layer, and I've segmented them, so the forearm and the bicep, they are definitely separated, so they're actually 4 extra layers because it's 1 on each side, twice. And right now you can just see what I'm doing. I'm starting off with the original keyframe, and I'm gonna be moving the bicep up and down like this, but you can kind of just see the point A and point B illustration again with the 2 white dots. And also just be sure to click show other layers just so you can see how everything looks together. Remember what I said, so point A keyframe should match, it should be the original keyframe, and point B should be the other keyframe, then the third keyframe should match point A, and just keep repeating this process over and over again. But you are very free to change it up a bit because it's an arm, it's just moving up and down, what can you do, really? Yeah, and you can just see how I'm using the arrows on the left-hand side to snap to the other keyframes right there. It's very, very efficient on Video Star like this, and yeah. Make sure that the path is straight also. You do not want your arm flying around everywhere because that's definitely happened to me before. Yeah, just make sure that all of the keyframes are snapped nicely. The path is straight, default path set to straight, even better. Yeah, so this is the left bicep done. But take extra care and be especially sure that all of your paths are straight paths, otherwise the bottom part of your bicep will just be flying off into space even though you originally intended to be in the same path. So just be aware of that. Once you're done, you can actually just copy the exact keyframes as you see me doing. Now here you can see me showing you the effects of clicking flip path horizontally or vertically. You can see that it doesn't exactly line up very well just because this is the corresponding forearm to bicep, but this is going to be different and more useful for the other arm. It saves a lot of time. So at the moment I'm just adjusting the path to the forearm just because I think I can illustrate the movement of opening and closing a lot better than just simply copying the keyframes. And you can also use those arrows in the bottom left corner, depending on where you're looking on your screen, to fix certain points. you.